Welcome, and thank you for viewing this introductory presentation on Collaborative Online International Learning, or COIL. My name is Adrienne Fusick, and I'm the Director of Global Education and Partnerships and International Affairs at San Diego State University. It's my pleasure to share with you this exciting way to add an international component to your course. Before I discuss the details of COIL, I'd like to point out how virtually connected classrooms, including those using COIL, support SDSU's strategic plan. These approaches expand and deepen SDSU's global impact by engaging in collaborative projects with existing and new partners abroad. They strengthen SDSU's shared identity by unifying our campuses and microsites by making international experiences available to students in all locations. Since the traditional barriers to study abroad do not exist for virtually connected classrooms, they increase access to global learning, thereby advancing critical diversity, equity, access, and inclusion efforts. They're also student-centered, enabling affordable international experiences that build compassion and cultural humility without leaving the country. They advance SDSU's global and environmental sustainability efforts by eliminating the need for air travel and the associated greenhouse gas emissions. And finally, they facilitate rich collaborations between SDSU faculty and faculty abroad, which may lead to or develop from joint research projects. So what is COIL? In its simplest form, COIL is a pedagogical approach to virtual global learning in which an SDSU faculty member works with a faculty member at a university abroad to co-develop a shared module which they deploy in their respective courses. SDSU students enroll at SDSU, and the students abroad enroll in their home campus course. In teams, the students at both universities engage in project-based learning virtually. The information here comes from the American Council on Education. As we can see, COIL is not meant to replace study abroad. The mission of international affairs is to develop and inspire globally conscious citizens, and COIL is simply one of the many ways in which we operationalize this mission. In fact, we hope that students participate in courses that contain COIL modules and have the opportunity to study abroad. COIL is not a MOOC, it's not a curriculum, it's not teleconferencing or a technology platform or software. COIL is online teaching across cultures and oftentimes across time zones. Importantly, COIL is structured so that the success of each class depends upon the others. Remember, we have two sets of students, one in an SDSU course and the other one somewhere else in the world. COIL is highly customized and designed by the collaborating faculty members, or COILers. And finally, COIL is applicable to any discipline and has been highly effective across disciplines. A defining characteristic of COIL is that the faculty members co-design projects for students to work on across cultures. Here's one example of what a COIL module may look like in a 15-week-long semester course. Keep in mind, COIL is not the course itself, rather an important component that's embedded within the course. Here, the shades of red represent the SDSU course, blues represent the partner university course, and purples represent the shared COIL module. You can see that the SDSU course begins with an overview of the semester and defining expectations for participation. The next assignment is conducting research on the culture of the students at the partnering institution. The following assignment could have more to do with the subject of the course, for example, public health, international security, or whatever it is. Once the COIL module begins, students at both institutions start with icebreakers and team-building activities. Then they move into group projects, their presentations on the project, and reflections. After the COIL module, the SDSU students are guided through reflecting on their experience, including challenges they faced and what they learned about themselves and their peers in the process. The pre- and post-COIL assignments at the partner institution will likely vary from the assignments of the SDSU course. However, if the timing of the semesters align, which they rarely do, the COIL module could comprise the entire course and look more like this. More commonly, the SDSU semester will start before or after the partner university term, so the COIL component takes place during the overlapping period as illustrated here. As noted by Hans de Witt, the term collaborative online international learning combines the four essential dimensions of real virtual mobility. It is a collaborative exercise of teachers and students. It makes use of online technology and interaction. It has potential international dimensions, and it is integrated into the learning process. Let's dig into each of these elements a little more. Creating a COIL module requires close collaboration between the faculty members as well as by their respective students. The faculty members co-create the shared content, shared learning outcomes for the COIL module, which may differ from the course learning outcomes, and evaluation and grading criteria. Holding students at both institutions to the same standards, for example, participation, group work, etc., optimizes the experience for all involved. As I mentioned previously, COIL modules are structured so that the success of students in each class depends upon the others. When it comes to students, they work with their peers at the partner university to collaboratively complete the COIL module assignments. As with any mutually beneficial partnership, regular communication is key. We know COIL is not a technology platform. Instead, it's team teaching across cultures using whatever online communication technologies are best suited for the task. In fact, several platforms may be used throughout the module. For example, video conferencing may be best for introductory conversations among students. Online discussion boards may be utilized for student teams to share their project progress. Faculty at both institutions may provide asynchronous video lectures. Students could communicate outside the formal classroom structure using social media, or Google Docs could be used for written assignments. Ultimately, the technologies utilized should be readily available to students in both countries. Fortunately, there are a lot of free options. It is very likely that you and your students will be working across time zones. For this reason, it may be necessary to have more asynchronous engagement than synchronous requirements. SDSU's Instructional Technology Services is available to help SDSU faculty members in the effective use of academic technologies for COIL. As I mentioned before, COIL is not a replacement for study abroad. However, it is not uncommon for COIL courses to include an international component. For example, you may decide to virtually connect with a partner institution prior to an in-country element. This could involve you taking students to the partner institution and/or the partner institution students and faculty member coming to SDSU. Unlike some traditional study abroad programs, COIL provides an intentional, structured way for students and faculty to engage across cultures. Also, unlike study abroad, COIL does not come with the added expense of international travel. It also does not require students to leave their personal or work obligations that they may have at home. Because of these factors, COIL is a powerful tool to engage all SDSU students in global learning regardless of income, time restraints, family or work commitments, or interest in international travel. All students deserve the opportunity to engage in a meaningful global experience. COIL democratizes global learning by removing many barriers that have traditionally stood between underserved students and international experiences. COIL can be a transformational global education experience. Here's a testimonial from one student. She says, "I would love to have at least one COIL class every semester. It really changed my whole academic experience and my personal life. I've been so eager to have that experience again. It really broadened my horizons." COIL is integrated into the learning process. Faculty members at SDSU and the partner institution should customize it to fit the mission, culture, and learning outcomes of their departments and broader institutional goals. Most COIL modules at other U.S. institutions are conducted in English, and this may very well be the case for SDSU. To overcome some language barriers, you may choose to integrate a language component so students receive introductory language training, then use apps such as Google Translate to help bridge that gap. Depending on the time and resources available, it may be possible to have lectures subtitled. Of course, the faculty collaborators may decide to deliver the module in a language other than English or in two languages as defined by their course needs. This can be particularly effective for language courses where conversing in the target language and English for the students abroad is the goal. COIL has been successful across disciplines and often connects courses in different disciplines. It's an effective way to engage students in an intercultural context while delving deep into their major area of study or exploring its intersections with other disciplines. For example, an HTM class could be paired with a hospitality course in Japan to facilitate the exploration of the differences and similarities of U.S. American and Japanese perspectives on hospitality and service. Or a public health course at SDSU could be paired with an architecture course at a university abroad. Projects for this group could include students co-designing various buildings, for example, offices, hospitals, DMVs, etc., that promote well-being. Now that you have an overview of COIL, to share ideas and experiences around developing successful COIL modules, I invite you to join the COIL Community of Practice, or the COILers Google group. Once you join this community, you can message all other members of the group. This group will be used by International Affairs to announce training, funding, and partnering opportunities. I'll take a minute now to show you how SDSU faculty and staff can join this community. From any of your Google pages like Gmail or your calendar, click on this little waffle icon up here, and then you can see among all your options you have groups. You may have to scroll to find it. Select groups. In this downward facing arrow, type COIL. In the box it says group name contains, and where it says group organization, select within my org and then search. From there, you can click on the Collaborative Online International Learning group. This is just an example. You won't see ARC expansion here, but click on Ask to Join Group. Finally, I invite you to visit the International Affairs webpage for additional information and to connect with International Affairs staff. Well, with that, thank you for your time and happy coiling!